Fitness trackers now allow people to track all kinds of information about their health and movement, from oxygen levels to step counts. But how helpful are these popular devices? So to help us understand, we're joined by David E. Conroy. He's a professor of kinesiology at Penn State University. Kinesiology, I haven't said that word since I was in college, basically.
You did great.
Thank you very much. So, Professor, let me ask you, how reliable is the information available on fitness trackers? And I don't mean like steps, but I guess I mean more like if I'm lifting weights, for example, on my Apple Watch, which I actually only wear when I'm working out. I'm a traditional watch guy. So I wear the Apple Watch when I'm working out and I hit, weightlifting. How does it track what I'm doing and how many calories I'm burning and how much fat I'm burning? Is it able to do that accurately?
My preference is not to use it for tracking energy expenditure. A lot of these devices, the sensors they have are an accelerometer, which measures movement, gyroscopes, which measure positional changes, light sensors, which are used to measure heart rate. So we can use that information, but then you have to make some assumptions to get, as you get further and further away into, meaningful markers. So yes, you get this feedback from the devices, but I think the further you stray from the raw information they're getting, the more risk you're taking of having some inaccuracy. Having said that, they're really pretty good for measuring the basics of how much are you moving. There are blind spots, of course. You mentioned resistance training. That's a tougher one to capture with these devices. It's also tough to capture swimming and cycling, depending on where you're wearing the device. But for tracking the basics of how much are you moving, they do a pretty good job now.
So admittedly, I'm a little bit of a skeptic around having wearable tech on your body all the time. But I'm just curious about what people do with this information. Like, how valuable is it? Does it really motivate someone to change?
The feedback you get from the devices can help you with your goal pursuit, because you might realize, I'm not getting the activity I want in. I need to make some changes in my plans for the week, adjust my schedule. It could also be that it just keeps the idea of being physically active at the front of your mind. So, we all live busy lives, and these goals that are important to us sometimes get crowded out by other things, family obligations, work stress, traffic, and it just gets pushed down the list. So having that little reminder on your wrist where you see how active you've been or haven't been can sometimes be enough to raise the importance of pursuing that goal in a moment-to-moment basis. So yeah, they can help with motivation. There's a bit of a double-edged sword too, though, because not only can you learn that you've been active, you can sometimes learn you're not being very active, and that can be a bit demoralizing for people. So I think you need to be a little bit careful with how you use feedback to promote activity and how much you rely on that by itself. There's a lot of other things that can support motivation too.
Can I ask about sleep? Because that's the one that's most fascinating to me, is how do I really have not figured out how, when I look at my sleep report using the data on my Apple Watch, that it knows that I was in REM sleep, that I was in deep sleep, that I was in that in-between world. And oftentimes when I wake up, I'm like, it didn't feel like I was in deep sleep when it says I was, but what is it using and how accurate is that?
Again, it's the heart rate and motion data during the night that it's using to capture that. And sleep is a little trickier to quantify compared to physical activity. So I think there are sensors that capture sleep. There are plenty of them. There's a high demand for that. So the device companies have made sure they've implemented algorithms. I think it's sometimes surprising to people what they're getting from the data there. It doesn't always match up with what their experience is. And at the end of the day, one of the best measures of sleep is just a sense, your own subjective sense of the quality of your sleep. You wake up in the morning and you know if it was a good sleep or a lousy
100%.
sleep. So you might not need a watch to tell you that.
Yeah, I agree. I can't agree more. David E. Conroy, thanks so much.
Thank you.